I would like today to look at Romans chapter 12, talking about the various gifts that God gives us as Christians. Now, the word gifts there, charismaton, it's the same word where we get the word grace. Uh, if we wanted to, in English, we could translate these right, the different varieties of graces God has given us. It's a little awkward in English. Uh, Normally we talk about them as gifts. They are gifts of grace, however. Reading 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 4 through 26. Now there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. There are varieties of ministries, and the same Lord. There are varieties of effects, but the same God who works in all. But to each one is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. For to one is given the word of wisdom through the Spirit, to another the word of knowledge according to the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the one Spirit, and to another the effecting of miracles, to another prophecy, to another the distinguishing of spirits, to another various kinds of tongues, and to another the interpretation of tongues. But one and the same Spirit works all these things, distributing to each one individually, just as He wills. For even as the body is one, and yet has many members, and all the members of the body, though they are many, are one body, so also is Christ. For by one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, whether slaves or free, and we were all made to drink of one Spirit. For the body is not one member, but many. If the foot says, because I am not a hand, I am not a part of the body, it is not for this reason any the less a part of the body. And if the ear says, because I am not an eye, I am not a part of the body, it is not for this reason any the less a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the hearing be? If the whole body were hearing, where would the sense of smell be? But now God has placed the members, each one of them, in the body just as He desired. If they are all one member, where would the body be? But now there are many members in one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, or again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. On the contrary, it is much truer that the members of the body which seem to be weaker are necessary. And those members of the body which we deem less honorable, on these we bestow more abundant honor. And our less presentable members become much more presentable. But whereas our more presentable members have no need of it, but God has so composed the body, giving more abundant honor to that member which lacked, so that there may be no division in the body, but that the members may have the same care for one another. And if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. And if one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it. Paul is talking about many gifts, many graces, one body, and how we all need each other. God composed this, gave you the skills, the gifts, the attitudes, uh, the redeemed attitudes, I should say, because sometimes our attitudes have not yet been fully redeemed and are not what God wants them to be. But our abilities, our gifts to uh, minister to the body, other members of the body, other Christians. Whatever you have, whatever you are, whatever you're good at, and God has given that to you for you to use to minister to other members of the body. Paul is very adamant. We all need each other. We have all these different gifts, and we can get caught up, and we do get caught up in those that are more visible, the preachers, the song leaders, the choir members, the instrumentalists, the musicians, the various people that get seen and heard most often. We get caught up in that and, well, I can't do that. Or, and feel like we are less than. And that's not the way God sees it. It's not the way God has planned it. God has made us so that we need even the one that this world may consider the least important. I remember growing up, and this still sticks with me, so there was a man in our church named Brother Ristoff. Brother Ristoff was, as near as we can remember, from Romania. He was an immigrant. He did not speak good English. His wife was crippled with some disease, I don't remember what the illness was, that kept her confined to bed for years, suffering. They had a son that he was raising while trying to take care of his wife and working as a janitor at a local elementary school. Not a real high-paying job. But he was the sweetest fellow, and people loved him. He served in our church as a usher for a long time, helping take up the offering. And when they would call on him to pray, I had the feeling God got down on one knee to listen. He spoke to God as I have never heard anyone else talk to God. Very, very thankful, joyful, intimate, loving, trusting prayers. And later, as he got too old to spend a lot of time walking up and down the aisles, he just served passing out bulletins at the door of the church. And there was this phenomenon that people would walk by other people handing out bulletins. The folks coming in would walk over to greet Brother Ristoff and get a hug from him, to be greeted by him. And he just blessed by his joy, his peace, his overwhelming faith. He blessed everyone that walked in that door. I don't know what your gifts are, but God gave them to you to minister to others, to encourage others, to lift them up, to help them grow closer to God. And, Paul writes there at the end, we all have this same care for each other. We all have this need to be cared for. But we have these gifts in order to care for, to share, so that if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. It's a great thing about the church, is that we share in each other's sufferings. But also, notice that if one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it. If God does something good for somebody, it is the joy is magnified when other members of the body rejoice over what God has done for them. It just works that way, that we care for each other, we need each other. You may not be able to do a lot of things that gain a lot of visibility, but God gave you something, whatever it is, and it doesn't matter if you do not have the physical abilities, the mental abilities, the vocal abilities to do what somebody else does, because you're not somebody else. You are you. God made you as he made you. for a purpose, and he gave you gifts to glorify him and to bless others. Never forget that. Your gifts are given to minister to others. I gave my life for thee, my precious blood I shed, that thou mightst ransom me, and quickened from the dead. I gave my life for thee, what hast thou given for me? I gave my life for thee, what hast thou given for me? My Father's house of light, my glory circled throne, I left for earthly night, for wandering sad and lone. I left it all for thee, as thou left aught for me. I left it all for thee, as thou left aught for me. And I have brought to thee, down from my home above, salvation full and free, my pardon and my love. I bring rich gifts to thee, what hast thou brought to me? I bring rich gifts to thee, what hast thou